democracy is deplorable because it's
All right, hold on, hold on.
okay. Okay,
Not yet. I'll let
uh,
you know. I'll introduce you.
uh, because it's a service of market capitalism.
Okay, here we are. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Charles Moscowitz here. Welcome to the program. And my guest, wait a minute, hold everything, is Fernando A.C. Alcoforado from Bahia, Brazil. He's a university professor. He's an author of books and articles. His most recent article, which is posted at academia.edu, is New World System Required to End with the End of Capitalism in the Mid 21st Century. Fernando, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Well, I I have to say that the the cap, world capitalist system is evolving towards self-destruction, towards its end, which should happen in the middle of the 21st century, when the global profit rate and the growth rate of the world gross product will be zero. The world capitalist system will come to an end in the middle of the 21st century because there is a downward trend in the world profit rate from 1869 to 2007 in the profit rate of large corporations in the United States from 1947 to 2007, and in the growth rate of the gross product, world gross product from 1961 to 2007. To determine when these rates will reach zero in the future, maintaining the downward trend and calculating using the least square method of statistics, it can be concluded that they will occur between 2057 and 2059. That's the conclusions that I have arrived
Well,
from.
those are astonishing conclusions. I mean, the only way that the capitalist system could collapse, as you describe it, is if it is forced to collapse by people who are conspiring to make it collapse. And even then, it will never completely collapse because capitalism is normal and natural to human beings. We are all free people who engage in commerce and trade with each other. Even Lenin, in the height of the Bolshevik Revolution, who it came very close, along with maybe Stalin and Mao and other communist leaders, to collapsing communism. I mean, collapsing capitalism in Russia, realized that it was completely failing because you had hundreds of thousands of people starving to death. You had a complete collapse of the entire society. And so he brought back elements of capitalism, the NEP program. It was the only way for Russia to survive. So, time and again, capitalism in some form or another is necessary for life. You cannot get rid of capitalism. It would be impossible. And any attempt to do it results in a situation that is so evil and so satanic that it could only be seen from a religious standpoint as bringing the advent of the Antichrist.
Well, I think that the socialism along the Soviet lines failed in the Soviet Union and the countries of Eastern Europe. It did not develop the economy in Cuba and North Korea and was abandoned by China, which adopted state capitalism. Soviet-style socialism was successful with regard to social progress, with the reduction of social inequalities, but it failed in economic progress, whose results obtained in the economy had been unsatisfactory, and it failed, above all, in political progress, because by adopting the dictatorship of the
Proletariat.
proletariat compromised democratic progress. Unlike Soviet-style socialism, Scandinavian social democracy provided high economic, social, and political progress simultaneously. Okay?
What I would suggest is that Soviet communist socialism failed both economically and socially. It's impossible to create absolute equality. It's wrong. We're not all equal. You know, we're born equal, we die equal, we are created equal in the image of God, both men and women. But on the surface of this planet during our short lifetime, we are not equal, nor will we be made equal. And attempts to do that by government result in complete inequality in terms of everyone becomes an equal failure. A lot of people have to be killed. We are different. You and I are not equal, um, Fernando. You're a lot smarter than I am. Actually, you're a lot more educated than I'll ever be. You know, you're a college educated man. You've written books. You know, I have my own areas of interest and strength. We're different. Every human being. We can't be viewed as equal. No one is equal. So the question is, what sort of a society reduces suffering, reduces poverty, reduces the decline in opportunity and the ability to create? And I would suggest that that society is a capitalist based society. You know, it's with all of its, we're not perfectible. No human being is ever going to be made perfected. That's impossible. Only God is perfect. So, you know, the way to reduce social ills is freedom, not socialism and government authoritarianism. I mean, I just totally disagree with you. I mean, with all due respect.
Yeah. The question is that the evident, I think that the difficulty of the construction of socialism in Russia, in Soviet Union, was conditioned also for the problems, international problems. Then the needs of Soviet Union to 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 develop actions against the United States in the Cold War, the expense, military expenses was excessive, and all that situation created the conditions to unsuccessful of the economy of the Soviet Union. I think that the difficulties to 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 develop the economy was conditioned by the confrontation with the United States in the Cold War.
Well, I mean, first of all, any communist society has to spend a lot on the military because nobody's going to accept it voluntarily. The Russian people needed to be controlled by military, by the Cheka, by the KGB, and by internal forces because No one in their right mind is going to give up their property, give up their family, give up their freedom. So every communist nation depends on force, and force requires military spending. As far as Russia confronting the United States, yeah, they were involved in world revolution. They were trying to conquer the planet, like you are advocating, frankly, with a one world government. They were in a movement that they viewed as scientific, that would require all the people of the world to submit to a one single world order. And that takes a lot of military spending because people aren't going to do that willingly. The American people aren't going to agree to that. So they tried to use their military and use subversion to take over the United States in the long run. Now, they knew they couldn't do it with an army marching in, so they used spies and they used subversion and they used ideas that would be promulgated to weaken us from within, and did the same thing to the other Western democracies. But you seem to want to blame the United States for that. We were defending our freedom. We were helping other countries who were suffering under the brutal jackboot of this leftist regime, which killed millions of people and threw millions of people into poverty and suffering. We were on the right side trying to defend people from that, trying to help people at great sacrifice to America, I may add.
Well, what I want to say is that when I defend the needs to introduce the Scandinavian social democracy confronting socialism, is basically considering three aspects: economic, the success of social democracy. Scandinavian social democracy is evident, is important, recognized by United Nations as the countries more developed consider economic and social progress. Secondly, the social aspect. The Scandinavian society is one society where the state, welfare state is present. All the population is protected by the state. And concerning the democracy, the practice of the democracy, Scandinavian countries is one example for the world. For consider all the three aspects, I don't have doubts about the superior condition of the Scandinavian social democracy compared with the socialism. But one aspect that I wanted to say is that the capitalism will end to will end in the middle of the 21st century. Until then, the world will have problems, serious problems. That must be, I can explicitly consider the following.
Well, I mean, Fernando, let me just interject and point out that the Scandinavian countries that you talk about, I would suggest that they are much more capitalist than they are socialist, especially economically. I mean, these countries have huge, powerful corporations and companies that are extremely innovative. These are very free societies. Now, the fact that they have a more vigorous social safety net, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if I'd call that socialism. I mean, they're wealthy countries. They have oil wealth, they've got natural resources, and they've got brilliant industry. And by the way, they're supported militarily by the United States, so they don't have to pay for that. Um, but if a country wants to have an increased social safety net, then that's fine. I just I generally favor the American model, at least theoretically, which is to have a social safety net, but really one that addresses genuine, need, not becomes a way of life. In other words, it's what Ronald Reagan called the truly needy people who really have fallen through the cracks. They don't have the network of family and friends, and they can't. We don't want to see people starving in this country. I don't want to see people suffering from disease that they can't pay for. And I think that these social problems can be addressed without big government socialism. I mean, maybe it might work in a small country like Denmark, but when you have a big United States, it's better to leave those questions up to local governments working with private companies and industries. It's better to deal with that by strengthening charity, especially, by the way, Catholic Charities, which is one of the greatest organizations in the world in terms of addressing social ills, and at the same time allowing for economic stimulation and innovation, through letting business be business, not to overregulate business, and keep taxes low, and keep the value of the dollar stable, and allow an economy to grow. I mean, I think that this has been proven to be a very good idea by none other than our own president, Donald Trump. The American economy has grown rapidly under his years in office, and unemployment has dropped, especially for minorities. So, I would suggest that if a small country like Denmark or Liechtenstein wants to try socialism, that's their business. That's fine. But, generally speaking, I would think that it would be more efficacious to move toward a more freedom oriented modality when dealing with social ills.
Uh, I think that the United States is one excellent example of a country of innovations.
Yes, it is. Well, I think I just lost you, Fernando. Fernando, are you there? Fernando, I seem to have lost you. Um, I guess that we seem to be having a little technical problem here. Well, we could try it. Let's just wait and see if I can give Fernando a chance to come back in here. Interesting conversation, as always. Um, Fernando, I seem to have lost you. So I'm going to, I'll end the broadcast now. I'll see if we can get you back. And if we can't, then we'll do it another day. I guess I want to thank everyone for joining me. This is Charles Moscowitz, part of my series of interviewing international intellectuals. Um, in Fernando A G Alcoforado is the author of many interesting papers, which he has up on academia.com. In this case, we're talking about new world systems required with end of capitalism in the mid 21st century. He's claiming that capitalism will be ending in the mid 21st century. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Have a great evening.